Hello there friends and welcome. By popular request, this is an updated guide on the best story party members for Wrath of the Righteous. Now before getting started, please understand that the party members I don't mention here, well, it doesn't mean that they're bad or useless. I actually have great build guides for all of them. It's just that the ones I like the best are more suited for my preferred playstyle, which I also believe is the easiest playstyle of them all, that is, buffing your characters and then attacking the enemy into complete submission, including from lots and lots of free attacks of opportunities, to easily destroy them in just a single round. With this guide you'll be able to do just that and also learn about the best ways of generating party synergy and how the strongest of abilities work together. So without further ado, let us get started. First, we still have Seelah as one of the cornerstones of any party. As a paladin, she can provide quite a lot. She is a very competent martial character with high base attack bonus progression, the maximum possible, great damage too, especially when two-handing weapons. My preferred choice here are scimitars because of their very high critical range and the fact you find plenty of powerfully enchanted scimitars in the game. Second, she can also provide tanking for your party. While my Seelah tends to be built mostly for damage, as I don't think armor class is needed for her, the fact is, starting from level 5, she can provide your party with a full scaling horse pet. While the horse might not be the ultimate animal companion like the dog and the wolf, it's still quite powerful on its own, and can easily become one of your main tanks, even with the size penalty it has to armor class. We have 85 here, even higher during combat. And it's not about just tanking, because look at how many attacks our horse has per round. It can still be a decent force at melee. And for anything pet related, please remember that I already have an updated guide for the Enhanced Edition, all about pets with builds and so on. As a paladin, Seelah can also cast some spells up to level 4 ones, and some of the buffs she has are very useful, such as Blast Weapon, which lets your allies automatically confirm critical hits, Divine Favor for even higher attack bonus and damage, the Veil spells for higher AC and saving throws. And speaking about saving throws, paladins have the extremely powerful Bestow Grace spell, which let them add the charisma bonus of any good aligned character, including the paladin themselves, as a bonus to saving throws. This also makes Seelah quite powerful when it comes to avoiding enemy spells. Look at how high her saves are. She can apply her charisma modifier twice to saving throws, first from the Paladin Divine Grace class ability and then the Bestow Grace spell. And this also works for the saving throws of any good aligned party member you have. Amazing for characters like sorcerers and oracles who already have very high charisma by default. Last but not least, this is actually one of the most powerful paladin features, Smite Evil, and its extremely overpowered upgrade Mark of Justice. Mark of Justice is basically a party-wide version of Smite Evil. What it does is add the paladin's charisma modifier to the attack rolls of all your allies and also her class level to their damage. My Seelah here has plus 11 to charisma, so whenever you activate Mark of Justice, which is perfect against bosses and tough enemies, all of our party members will get plus 11 to their attack rolls as untyped, so stacked with everything else, and also up to 20 static damage added, irresistible damage by the way. And speaking about resistances, Smite Evil and Mark of Justice also allow the paladin and your party to bypass any damage reduction the creature might possess, which is really powerful considering how high the DR of some late bosses like the Demon Lords can get. And this should include elemental resistances too. Honestly, Mark of Justice is one of the ultimate boss killer tools in the game. As a matter of fact, even enemies on Unfair will be completely annihilated by it, because remember, it affects your whole party, including pets and even summoned creatures too. Another great part is that just like Smite Evil, Mark of Justice is cast as a swift action, which means it comes instantly, and Seelah can still retain her full attacks on the same round she casts them. Seelah's benefits don't end there, she can even heal your party. Just like a cleric, she also has access to channel positive energy for party-wide heals, and can even remove some nasty debuffs through her Mercy ability that gets upgrades as she levels. Now for our second very useful story party member, we have Sosiel. As a cleric, he can actually be quite the competent melee character, even if his damage will never be as high as, let's say, Seelah's. He can still melee just fine, especially when you consider teamwork feats such as Outflank, that are better the more melee characters you have. As a cleric, however, his most unique and powerful abilities all come from domains. Domains truly are game changers, and usually only clerics and inquisitors can get them. By default, he starts with good domain and also luck domain, which are tied to his goddess. But the good thing is, in Wrath of the Righteous, through the impossible domain mythic ability, you can get any domain you want, multiple times even. Which is why in my Sosiel build, you see me pick so many extra domains through mythic progression. They really make a difference. First we have Animal Domain, one of the best ones, because it gives Sosiel a pet, and if you've watched some of my other guides, you know how OP pets can get. Except in the case of Sosiel, it can be any pet, unlike Seelah, which is stuck with her horse unless you multiclass her. So Sosiel can get the ever so powerful dog and wolf pets. They have many attacks per round, great damage, amazing hit points, absurd physical scores, can also get teamwork feats, actually trip the enemy for free on every single one of their bite attacks, so that's added crowd control too. And just like with Seelah's horse, they can also tank just fine. And this is very important because whenever Sosiel is riding his dog pet, the same with Seelah and her horse, any rider really, it is the pet's armor class that will count, both for melee and ranged enemy attacks. So Sosiel himself does not need high armor class at all. The end result is he can attack just fine while remaining completely safe. Besides that, we also have the ever so useful community domain for the highly overpowered guarded hearth that increases first the attack rolls of every single party member equal to Sosiel's wisdom modifier as competence and also their saving throws as resistance. Just like with Seelah's Mark of Justice, this is also a game changer and a boss destroyer. Something like plus 13 competence to the attack rolls of all your party members is absurd. It's very wide too, this big blue area around my characters, and while it won't move, it stays at the ground, and you only have one use of it per day. Like I said, it's amazing for boss battles. You don't have to use this for every trash mob encounter. Save it for the ones that count. We also have Nobility for the Inspiring Command ability, which hits your whole party and gives them +2 Insight, a very rare type of bonus, to attack rolls, AC, and even skill checks. Culminating in the super powerful Madness domain for the highly useful Vision of Madness ability that actually has dual uses. First, you can use it to buff your own party members with up to half Sosiel's cleric level, so +10 at max level, to either attack rolls, saving throws, or skill checks. The other two will get a debuff, so if you choose to buff your attack rolls by +10, the character's saving throws and also skill checks will get a similar debuff. This doesn't really matter because usually the buff to attack rolls is more than enough to destroy any enemy. The debuffing part, however, actually matters because it does let you even debuff the enemies themselves. If you use, for example, Visions of Madness skill checks on the enemy, they'll get a +10 to skill checks, which you know doesn't matter. On the other hand, they'll also suffer a -10 to both their saving throws and also their attack rolls, which is perfect for any DC-focused crowd control-based character, and to get those instant death spells going even against Demon Lords on Unfair. Lastly, as a cleric, Sosiel also has a full divine spellbook, so he can also provide all sorts of great divine buffs. Just look at how much my character is gaining just from domains. We have +10 from Touch of Good, +13 from Guarded Hearth, and another +10 from Visions of Madness, and lastly a +2 from Inspiring Command. That's more than 30 AB that you can't really get anywhere else just from domains. This is what makes them so good. Even if some of these are limited in uses and have low duration, for the true battles that matter, the bosses and so on, you'll have them. Especially when you combine it with the Domain Zealot ability, which lets you cast your domain powers as swift actions, so you can quickly buff your whole party with everything, more like pre-buffing before certain battles, to make up for the low duration of some of them. Third, we have Camellia. She's quite a versatile character capable of both meleeing and also spellcasting. She can also tank for you, although I prefer to build my cam as full damage, to take advantage of dual-wielding rapiers, and there are a lot of powerful rapiers in the game, most likely because it is her favorite weapon. Rapiers have amazing critical range, and when dual-wielding them you'll get loads and loads of critical hits, which make up for the fact Cam's base damage isn't that high. When you combine them with the outflank feat, every single rapier critical coming out of Camellia will generate a free attack from nearby party members, which is huge. The more free attacks your party has, the better to easily destroy enemies. She is also quite the competent spellcaster with a lot of powerful and useful buffs, mostly resist and protection from energy, bark skin, animal growth, legendary proportions, the most important mass animal buffs, and also even True Sin and Stone Skin Communal, even access to the ultimate summon in the game, Creeping Doom. Hexes, however, are where Camellia truly shines. They can provide multiple useful benefits that you can't get anywhere else, either to debuff the enemy through, for example, Evil Eye, which can sharply reduce their armor class or saving throws, so has multiple uses, no matter if you have a melee or spellcaster focused party. Protective Luck, which highly increases the tanking potential of any character by forcing the enemy to roll twice against them, no matter how many attacks they have, and pick the worst result, so long as this is on a duration, and it can actually be spammed forever and ever, even if the duration isn't that high to begin with. And lastly, Fortune Hex. Fortune will highly increase the chances of your attacks hitting by rolling twice and picking the best result, even the chances of making skill checks and saving throws. Unlike Protective Luck, however, this does have a limitation. It can only be cast on a character once per rest. Combined with the pretty low duration of a maximum of 3 rounds by default, it's something you want to save only for boss battles and such. However, through the use of the chant, Hex, you can keep extending the duration of both Protective Luck and also Fortune Hex forever, only limited by your patience. Now, while it is true, there's also another party member that can use Hexes in the game, Ember the Witch. I just find Cam to be overall better, at least gameplay wise, because unlike Ember, she can actually fight quite decently at melee, with many attacks per round, also tank for you, and honestly, her spellbook is just simply better. The Witch spellbook is kinda poor when compared to, let's say, Wizard or even Divine casters like Cleric. Cam gets some of the best buffs in the game that Witch does not. Camellia can even provide a pet for your party too, but in her case it will come pretty late, at level 16 only, to the Nature Second Spirit. Now, to me, these 3 party members, Seelah, Camellia, and Sosiel, are the cornerstone of pretty much any party, because of how much they can provide you. And when you combine Hexes with Paladin's Mark of Justice, and also Domain Powers, there truly is nothing you cannot overcome. No matter if you are on Unfair fighting a super overpowered and stacked boss like Playful Darkness, you will be able to handle them through proper ability use. However, Wrath is a game where we actually have 6 party slots, just like Baldur's Gate. So let's get into other party members that I also find useful and can complement this party just fine. For another very useful party member, we have Daeran the Oracle. As an Oracle, he can provide the ultimate divine support to your party, with the best spells as a spontaneous caster, meaning he doesn't have to prepare them, he can always cast them. And of course, he has a massive amount of uses, of each spell level, higher than 10, when combined with the abundant casting line of mythic abilities. And because of his very high charisma, he can also heal your whole party multiple times through the channel positive energy ability. Lastly, as far as my own build for Daeran at least, I've also made him into quite a versatile character just like Camellia. He can dual wield rapiers for very high critical range, loss of attacks of opportunity generated through outflank, so it won't matter if his damage isn't high, the point is to generate extra attacks to your party. And just like Sosiel, he can also get a pet, in his case full scaling, with complete ease, thanks to second mystery Nature and the Animal Companion revelation as early as level 7. So it won't matter that he doesn't have high armor class, he can just ride his pet for tanking, just like Seelah and Sosiel. And in case you're wondering, yes, I do like having both Daeran and Sosiel on my parties, even if they are both full divine spellcasters that share pretty much the same spell list. The main reason is when it comes to Sosiel, he does not have the space for the greater enduring and abundant spells line of mythic abilities, because he has to spend most of his initial mythic feats and abilities as extra domains. Daeran, on the other hand, can further specialize his spellcasting through abundant casting and greater enduring spells, so you have as many slots as you can, with buffs that never run out with 24 hours duration. For divine buffs, this does matter quite a lot, because there are many buffs here that you have to cast on every single party member, especially if you have a lot of pets such as Crusader's Edge, Death Ward, Aid, Bark Skin, Shield of Faith, plus of course more spell uses of certain powerful spells like Heal, Mass Heal, and some neat buffs like Prayer, and Burst of Glory. I also think having both Sosiel and Daeran is amazing for beginners of the game, because you never run out of healing, especially when you also add Seelah. Note that all of them have the Channel Positive Energy ability that can heal your whole party, which is amazing for ambushes where your characters are caught unaware and without buffs, usually the random map encounters. Now for yet another useful party member, this time we have a ranged character, mostly to snipe problematic targets right as soon as battle starts, usually spellcasters or demons with annoying abilities. Ideally, this is going to be either Lun, Wendwag or Arushale, who are built from the ground up to be ranged characters. I prefer Lun and Wendwag because they are way more customizable as they come right at level 1. I usually go with Lun, especially since my recent build for him, which I find very fun, mostly as a Demon Slayer ranger. He still has amazing ranged attacks, gets a pet, and can also ride that pet to attack the enemies at melee range with ranged attacks. The main reason is to proc attacks of opportunities even with ranged attacks, something that is not only efficient but very fun too. For the last of our party members we have a SKALD. In this case a mercenary, as unfortunately we don't have a SKALD story party member, unlike all of the other examples I talked about here. So you either go with the main character as a SKALD, a mercenary, or turn one of your party members into one, which I don't find that efficient. SKALDs, just like clerics, are super stacked, except the bonuses they provide, unlike domains, have way more uses per day, pretty much for every single battle. Their main appeal comes from the ability to share rage powers from the barbarian class to all of your party members, including pets and summons, with the click of a button, their inspired rage ability, which works just like a bard's song. There's really a lot of powerful stuff here. Lethal Stance, for example, grants a very big attack bonus to all your allies, Animal Fury, an extra bite attack per round. The Beast Totem line is very stacked too, with the lesser version granting extra claw attacks, which is amazing for pets. With extra claw attacks, you basically achieve 3 attacks, even at the low levels, which is why I prefer them instead of, let's say, the Smilodon. As you can see, you can achieve very high attacks per round with these pets when you have a SKALD to buff them. Normal Beast Totem, on the other hand, will provide you with a super rare stacking source of natural armor class, which is why I have both Bark Skin and Inspired Rage here. Greater Beast Totem gives Pounce, which is super overpowered too, letting all your characters charge at the enemy while retaining their full attacks, the same special ability from the Leopard and Smilodon pets. And lastly, the Lethal Accuracy Rage power, which grants an extra critical multiplier, something extremely rare as well. If you're wondering why my characters have usually higher critical damage than the norm, it's because of the SKALD power. Once again, the best part is that all of these rage powers are automatically applied at once, whenever you turn your Inspired Rage ability on, which also provides you with some minor bonuses to attack and damage. And then, thanks to the Lingering Performance feat, every one of your song uses will last for 3 rounds, which basically triples the amount you have per day. Meaning you can just quickly activate it before battle, deactivate it because it's going to last 3 rounds anyways to conserve uses, and then actually start a battle. If you were to ask me a recommendation for a main character, assuming you want to only have story party members, then I say go with a SKALD, and ideally the Trickster Mythic path. As always, I already have Trickster SKALD guides that you can check in my builds playlist. Now don't misunderstand the SKALD for a character that is only about support, because the reality is they are very stacked class. They have medium base attack bonus progression, lots of bonus feats. They even start with martial weapons proficiency too for pretty much almost all of the weapons in the game. They are competent at both melee and supporting your party. Lastly, they are also spellcasters with up to level 6 spells like a bard, and they get pretty much the best of the low-level party-wide arcane buffs, such as haste, of course. And if you're wondering why I don't go with a full arcane caster, it's because I already have a SKALD to provide what I could want from them. The ever so useful Good Hope too, which is basically a party-wide version of Heroism with an extra damage boost. We also have Blur, Mirror Image, Sense Vitals, and for the early game, even the highly useful crowd control spells Grease and Glitter Dust. So honestly, your SKALD is extremely versatile too. Now for this updated party guide, I also want to cover some other ways of building your party, which is often requested by viewers. For example, the main idea behind this is pretty simple. If you want to change some of the party members I have mentioned, just do it in a way that their main advantages will not overlap with each other. For example, let's say you want to play an Angel Cleric as a main character, which is another super powerful build. Since you're already going to be a cleric that can provide domain powers to your party, you won't need Sosiel. The same if you wanted to be an Angel Oracle when it comes to Daeran, or a Paladin for Seelah. As far as Camellia, another class that can provide hexes, which is mostly another Shaman archetype, especially Wildland Shaman, which is super busted. While you could potentially go with Witch too. As I said before, the Witch's spellbook isn't as good as Shaman's, unless it's a main character and you're merging with Lich, which bypasses that entirely. When it comes to the ranged character, so Lan, Wendwag or Arushalei, you can actually go without one, depending on how many spots you have left for your party, which actually frees a slot for example, a SKALD mercenary, so your main character can be something else. The main reason is, honestly, I've actually played runs where all my party members were melee and they worked just fine. If only because melee has way better synergy with the teamwork feats such as Outflank, higher bonuses to attack rolls too. And if you're wondering about, characters being blocked by themselves because of too many melee party members, remember that most of my characters have paths that they can ride, so they share the spot in battle. And as far as other characters like the SKALD, I also tend to go for builds fully focused on offense, because they have access to rich weapons, and when you combine rich weapons with size increasing spells, your character can actually attack from far away, behind your other allies, as to not block them. Now, as far as a party fully built on mercenaries, for example, I have recently released a Brown Fur guide. If there's enough interest, I'll also release a guide just for it, so full mercenaries with the main character. As for this guide, I just wanted to keep to mostly the story party members. I imagine that's what people are mostly interested about, as they all have their own dialogues, quest lines, and so on. Well, alright friends, so this was it for my updated best story party members guide. If you found it useful, as always, please remember to like, subscribe, and even consider becoming a channel member. Thank you for your support as always, and see you next time, friends.